The world is a stage, and most of us are merely reciting lines written by others. We cling to beliefs we've never truly examined, values we've inherited without questioning, and a worldview that has been carefully curated for us. But what if the script is flawed? What if the play itself is a tragedy of the spirit? Nietzsche understood this predicament with chilling clarity. He saw how easily we become prisoners of our own minds, shackled by the chains of conformity and lulled into a state of intellectual slumber. He called it slave morality, a subtle but insidious form of imprisonment where we accept predefined values without daring to forge our own. But freedom, true freedom, is not merely the absence of external constraints. It is an internal revolution, a radical act of self-liberation. It is the courage to challenge every assumption, to dismantle every dogma, and to build your own intellectual fortress, brick by painful brick. Consider the subtle ways your mind is colonized, the constant barrage of news, each headline carefully crafted to elicit a specific emotional response, the insidious influence of social media, where carefully curated images distort reality and fuel our deepest insecurities, the pressure to conform, to fit in, to silence the dissenting voice within. These are the unseen forces that shape our thoughts, our desires, and our very sense of self. They are the chains that bind us, not with brute force, but with the silken threads of manipulation. But there is a way out. Nietzsche offers us not a map, but a compass. He challenges us to embrace the uncomfortable truths, to confront the darkness within, and to forge our own path, regardless of the cost. This is not a passive endeavor. It requires relentless self-reflection, unwavering courage, and a willingness to shatter the idols we have long held sacred. It demands that we become active creators of our own reality, rather than passive consumers of the narratives imposed upon us. The power to think freely is not a gift, but a conquest. It is a prize to be won through relentless self-overcoming, a battle waged in the arena of the mind. But the rewards are immeasurable. A life lived on your own terms, a mind unshackled, and the profound joy of authentic self-expression. So I ask you, are you ready to claim your intellectual birthright? Are you ready to break free from the chains that bind you and forge your own path to unseen personal power? The journey begins now. We are born into a world saturated with moral judgments. From the moment we learn to speak, we are bombarded with notions of right and wrong, good and evil, acceptable and unacceptable. These moral prisms, though often well-intentioned, can severely distort our perception of reality. Imagine looking at a vibrant landscape through a stained glass window. The colors are altered, the details obscured, and the true beauty of the scene is lost. In much the same way, our ingrained moral biases filter our experiences, preventing us from seeing the world as it truly is. Nietzsche challenged the very notion of objective truth, arguing that every judgment is, at its core, a subjective interpretation. We do not see the world through a clear mirror, but through a lens crafted by our own unique experiences, beliefs, and desires. This concept, known as Perspectivism, is both liberating and unsettling. It liberates us from the tyranny of dogma, allowing us to question the moral absolutes that have been imposed upon us. It unsettles us by forcing us to confront the uncomfortable truth that our own perspectives are inherently limited and biased. Consider the seemingly virtuous act of charity. We instinctively applaud those who give to the less fortunate, viewing them as paragons of compassion. But Nietzsche urges us to look deeper. What is the motivation behind the act? Is it genuine empathy or a desire for social validation, a subtle assertion of power? Even good intentions, Nietzsche suggests, can mask the underlying will to power, the fundamental drive to exert influence and control. This is not to say that charity is inherently bad, but rather that we must be vigilant in examining the hidden motivations behind our actions and the actions of others. To cultivate a perspectival eye, we must actively challenge our own deeply held beliefs. Choose a belief that you hold held with unwavering conviction. Now, force yourself to consider 3 alternative perspectives, regardless of whether you agree with them. This exercise, though uncomfortable, can shatter the illusion of objective truth and open your mind to new possibilities. Nietzsche famously declared, "There are no facts, only interpretations." This is not a nihilistic claim, but a call to intellectual responsibility. It is a reminder that we are all active participants in the construction of reality and that our judgments are shaped by our unique perspectives. Decode how this applies to your daily judgment. By embracing Perspectivism, we can transcend the limitations of our moral prisms and begin to see the world with greater clarity, nuance, and understanding. This is the first step towards intellectual freedom, the foundation upon which we can build our own authentic values and forge our own path to personal power. How often do we find ourselves trapped in the labyrinth of what if? The mind replays past events, dissecting every decision, agonizing over missed opportunities. Regret becomes a relentless tormentor, a prison of the mind that prevents us from fully inhabiting the present moment. This obsession with the unchangeable past drains our energy, saps our motivation, and robs us of our power to shape the future. It is a form of self-inflicted victimhood, a refusal to accept the reality of what is. Nietzsche offers a radical antidote to this debilitating cycle. Amor Fati. This is not merely passive acceptance, but a passionate embrace of everything that has been, is, and will be. It is loving not just what is pleasant and desirable, but loving necessity itself. Imagine a sculptor who despairs over the imperfections in a block of marble. He sees only flaws, limitations, and obstacles. But a true artist embraces the unique character of the stone, transforming its perceived imperfections into sources of beauty and strength. Amor Fati is not resignation, but active co-creation with destiny. It is recognizing that every event, every experience, every perceived failure is an integral part of our journey, a necessary catalyst for our growth and evolution. Consider the story of Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived the horrors of Auschwitz. Stripped of his possessions, his family, and his freedom, Frankl discovered that the one thing that could not be taken from him was his ability to choose his attitude in any given set of circumstances. Even in the face of unimaginable suffering, Frankl found meaning and purpose by embracing Amor Fati. He chose to love his fate, not as a passive victim, but as an active agent in his own transformation. His experience serves as a powerful testament to the liberating power of radical acceptance. To practice Amor Fati, identify a past failure that continues to haunt you. Acknowledge the pain and disappointment, but then reframe it as a necessary catalyst for your current strength. How has that experience shaped you? What lessons did you learn? How has it contributed to your growth? By embracing Amor Fati, we shatter the chains of victimhood and reclaim our power to shape our own destiny. We transform regret into gratitude, despair into hope, and suffering into strength. We learn to love not just the good, but the entirety of our existence, with all its imperfections and challenges. This is the path to unshakable inner strength, the foundation upon which we can build a life of purpose, meaning, and authentic freedom. The will to power. The phrase itself often conjures images of ruthless ambition, unchecked aggression, and a relentless pursuit of domination. This, however, is a profound distortion of Nietzsche's true meaning. It's a common misinterpretation that reduces a complex philosophical concept to a caricature of egoism. The will to power, as Nietzsche envisioned it, is not about trampling over others, but about self-overcoming. It is the fundamental drive to grow, to create, to expand our potential, and to leave our unique mark on the world. It is the force that compels us to strive for excellence, to overcome challenges, and to become the best versions of ourselves. But how do we distinguish ethical power from manipulative control? The key lies in intention. Ethical power seeks to empower others, to inspire them to reach their own potential. It is about creating win-win situations where everyone benefits from the exchange. Manipulation, on the other hand, seeks to exploit others for personal gain. It is about creating win-lose situations where one party benefits at the expense of another. Nietzsche's concept of master morality is also often misunderstood. It is not about oppressing the slave, but about cultivating self-mastery and creating one's own values. The master is not a tyrant, but an artist, a creator, a force of nature who shapes the world according to his own vision. The true slave, in Nietzsche's view, is not someone who is physically oppressed, but someone who is intellectually and emotionally dependent on others. It is someone who accepts predefined values without questioning them, someone who lacks the courage to forge their own path. Consider the subtle ways in which the will to power manifests itself in our daily lives. The athlete who pushes themselves to their physical limits, the artist who pours their heart and soul into their work, the entrepreneur who risks everything to build their own business. These are all examples of the will to power in action, a force that drives us to transcend our limitations and create something meaningful. There is a myth, a pervasive lie that whispers in our ears, telling us that we are not strong enough, not smart enough, not capable enough. This is the mental, emotional, and existential factor that sabotages our psychological mastery, our intellectual independence, our critical discernment, our self-authorship, our resilience, and our unshakable inner strength. By understanding the true meaning of the will to power, we can harness its force for good, using it to fuel our own growth and to empower those around us. We can become ethical masters of our own destiny, shaping the world according to our own values and creating a legacy that inspires others to do the same. Imagine a demon appearing before you, not with fiery threats, but with a chilling proposition. It whispers, "This life, as you now live it and have lived it, you will have to live once more and innumerable times more, and there will be nothing new in it, but every pain and every joy and every thought and sigh and everything unutterably small or great in your life will have to return to you, all in the same succession and sequence." This is Nietzsche's thought experiment of eternal recurrence, the ultimate test of authentic living. Would you willingly relive your life exactly as it is, infinitely? The question is designed to provoke a profound reckoning with the choices we make and the lives we lead. For many, the prospect is terrifying. The crushing weight of regret, the pain of missed opportunities, the shame of inauthentic choices, all magnified by the prospect of endless repetition. This terror reveals the extent to which we are living lives that are not truly our own, lives shaped by fear, conformity, and self-deception. But eternal recurrence also holds the potential for profound liberation. It is a call to live each moment as if it were eternally significant, to make choices that align with our deepest values, and to embrace our fate with courage and joy. Why do we so often avoid confronting the true nature of our existence? Why do we distract ourselves with trivial pursuits, numb ourselves with mindless entertainment, and cling to comfortable illusions? Because facing the reality of our mortality and the possibility of eternal recurrence forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that we are responsible for our own lives. We prefer to believe that we have unlimited time, that we can always postpone our dreams, that we can always make amends for our mistakes. But eternal recurrence shatters this illusion, reminding us that every moment is precious, every choice matters, and that we are the authors of our own destiny. Before making a decision, pause and ask yourself, would I be content reliving this choice forever? This simple question can serve as a powerful compass, guiding us towards choices that are aligned with our authentic selves and away from choices that are driven by fear or external pressures. By embracing the challenge of eternal recurrence, we can transform our lives from a series of random events into a meaningful and purposeful journey. We can learn to love our fate, to embrace our imperfections, and to live each moment fulfillment as if it were a masterpiece in the making. This is the path to true self-mastery, the foundation upon which we can build a life of unshakable joy and fulfillment. Society often casts a suspicious eye upon those who dare to think differently, those who question conventional wisdom, challenge established norms, and forge their own paths are often labeled as rebels, misfits, or even dangerous radicals. This is because the herd mentality, the tendency to conform to the beliefs and behaviors of the majority, is a powerful force that seeks to maintain the status quo. Nietzsche's concept of the Bermensch, often translated as overman, is frequently misunderstood as a call for a superior race or a tyrannical leader. But the Bermensch is not a being of inherent superiority, but rather a self-overcomer, an individual who transcends the limitations of conventional morality and creates their own values. The Bermensch is not bound by the expectations of society, but rather guided by their own inner compass. They are not afraid to stand alone, to challenge the status quo, and to forge a new path, even in the face of opposition. The revaluation of values is a central aspect of the Bermensch's journey. It is the process of critically examining the values that have been imposed upon us by society, questioning their validity, and embracing those that resonate with our authentic selves. This is not a call for moral nihilism, but rather a call for moral self-creation. It is about taking responsibility for our own values rather than blindly accepting those that have been handed down to us. The danger of conformity lies in its ability to stifle intellectual freedom and personal power. When we blindly follow the herd, we relinquish our ability to think for ourselves, to question assumptions, and to create our own unique vision for our lives. Friedrich Nietzsche himself embodied the spirit of the Bermensch. He dared to challenge the fundamental beliefs of his time, to question the existence of God, and to advocate for a radical revaluation of values. He faced intense criticism and social isolation, but he remained true to his own vision, leaving behind a legacy that continues to inspire and challenge us today. The Bermensch is not a destination, but a journey, a continuous process of self-overcoming and self-creation. It is about striving to become the best version of ourselves, to live authentically, and to leave our unique mark on the world. It is about transcending the herd mentality and embracing our individual power to shape our own destiny. We have journeyed through the labyrinth of Nietzschean thought, exploring 5 mindsets that unlock the door to unseen personal power. We have seen how Perspectivism shatters the illusion of objective truth, how Amor Fati transforms suffering into strength, how the will to power fuels our self-overcoming, how eternal recurrence compels us to live authentically, and how the Bermensch inspires us to transcend the herd mentality. But this is not the end of the journey, but merely the beginning. Intellectual freedom is not a destination to be reached, but a continuous process of self-discovery, self-creation, and self-overcoming. It is a lifelong commitment to questioning assumptions, challenging norms, and forging our own path, regardless of the obstacles we encounter. The true power lies not in mastering these concepts intellectually, but in actively applying them in our daily lives. Challenge yourself to see the world from multiple perspectives, to embrace your fate with courage and joy, to harness your will to power for ethical purposes, to live each moment as if it were eternally significant, and to transcend the limitations of conformity. Remember that the path to intellectual freedom is not always easy. It requires confronting uncomfortable truths, challenging deeply held beliefs, and facing the possibility of social isolation. But the rewards are immeasurable. A life lived on your own terms, a mind unshackled, and the profound joy of authentic self-expression. Carl Jung, another explorer of the human psyche, reminds us that true wholeness requires integrating the shadow, the dark, and often unconscious aspects of our personality. Intellectual freedom is no different. It requires acknowledging our own biases, limitations, and blind spots. It requires confronting confronting the uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world around us. Just as a tree needs strong roots to withstand the storms, we need a solid foundation of self-awareness and self-acceptance to navigate the challenges of intellectual freedom. By embracing our shadow, we can become more resilient, more compassionate, and more effective in our pursuit of truth and meaning. So I challenge you to embrace intellectual freedom as a lifelong journey. Question everything, challenge everyone, and most importantly, challenge yourself. Dare to think differently, to live authentically, and to create your own unique vision for your life. The path to unseen power is not paved with easy answers, but with difficult questions. It is not a passive pursuit, but an active quest. It is not a destination, but a continuous process of becoming. What will you create with your newfound intellectual freedom? How will you shape your own destiny? The power is within you. Now, go and claim it.